Sometimes just one bad decision can end up ruining your life. And today's true crime story epitomizes that. It looks at how and why a 13-year-old boy who seemingly looked innocent ended up pulling a gun on his teacher, a teacher he would later say was his favorite teacher, and shooting him in the face fatally. Now, this boy did all this because he was sent home for throwing water balloons, and he returned with flowers to give to a girl he had a crush on, and this teacher decided that he was not going to allow him to go in and see the girl in class because he didn't have a hall pass. This is the true crime story of Nathaniel Brazzile and how he would end up making a stupid decision to return back to school with a gun after being sent home with the intent of going to shoot the counselor that sent him home, but in a fit of rage would end up rather shooting fatally a teacher that he said was his favorite teacher. If you are ready for this ride, just buckle up and let's go. The morning of May 26th started like any other typical day for Nathaniel and his mother. His mom, Polly, was already at work when Nathaniel got on a bus stop at 8:30 a.m. In his possession was a small bouquet of orange and white blossoms with a silver balloon, which he intended to give to a girl which he had a crush on in school just before classes would start. And also hidden in his backpack were water balloons, which he also intended to play with after school by sort of engaging some of his friends and they having a water balloon fight. Now, things were playing out as Nathaniel had planned for that day. So they started this water balloon fight, and then at a point, a counselor came out, and when they saw the counselor, typical as it is for children their age, they all ran helter-skelter and tried to escape from this counselor so they don't get in trouble. But unfortunately for Nathaniel, he and another 13-year-old girl were caught by this counselor. Now, as part of their punishment, they were sent home. But after all was said and done, after Nathaniel would commit the crime he did, this girl would later say that when they were sent home, Nathaniel got so furious and he told her what he was planning to do. He told her that he's going to come back to the school and that he is going to shoot this counselor. And that Nathaniel, after saying this, told her, and I quote, "Just watch, I will be all over the news." Now, on the blind side of everybody, Nathaniel had visited Boynton Beach, and whilst there, he had visited the home of a man that he considered his sort of unofficial grandfather. Now, this man kept a .25 caliber Raven semi-automatic handgun in a tin box in a drawer and loose bullets in a separate drawer. And unknown to this man, Nathaniel had pilfered the gun when he went to his place the previous week. So it meant that Nathaniel actually had a gun in his possession at home without his mom also knowing. And it makes sense that at the point of his anger, he felt that he would have to resort to using it because he probably understood what it was for, and since he had one, he felt that would be the best way to show the counselor his dissatisfaction with his decision. Now, after being sent home from school and getting back to his apartment, Nathaniel retrieved his bicycle, took this gun, put the gun in his pocket, and headed back to school. A campus police officer saw him racing down a fire lane, but he couldn't catch up with him, unfortunately. Once Nathaniel got inside the school, he went straight away looking for the girl he had a crush on to give her his flowers. So you can see that at this tender age, typical of first crushes, he was a romantic. And in as much as someone will lose his life, I think he didn't understand the ramifications of some of the things that he was doing at that age. And in his attempt to find him, he turned out to realize that he was actually in Mr. Barry Grono's class in room 301. Now, from this point, after the incident, security cameras captured Nathaniel and Mr. Grono meeting at the door to his class and Grono stepping out into the hallway. Now, it appeared that Grono obviously did not know Nathaniel had been sent home for the day and for the rest of the school year, and it appeared like he was asking Nathaniel for his hall pass, to show his hall pass. And when Nathaniel couldn't provide one, it seemed per the video that Mr. Grono had told Nathaniel that if he doesn't have his hall pass, then there's no way he's going to be allowed to see this girl. An hour later, Nathaniel told investigators that he shot Grono, or he threatened to shoot him with the gun, because at this point in time in their conversation, Mr. Grono was actually laughing and it made him angry. And so, when Mr. Grono refused to allow Nathaniel entry into this class, and Nathaniel felt Grono was laughing at him, he pulled out the gun and he pointed it at Mr. Grono, who also seemed so surprised and actually shouted at Nathaniel to stop pointing the gun at his face. According to Nathaniel's interview later on, several years down the line, he said that he didn't know what happened afterwards, but witnesses indicated that few seconds afterwards, they heard a loud pop and Mr. Grono dropped to the floor, shot in the head, dead, unfortunately. Now, at this point, everybody came running out of class and they were shouting, "He shot Mr. Grono." And Nathaniel recounts seeing that the man was there in the pool of blood and he just panicked and he started running. He was running. And then at a point when he got out of the school, he saw a police car and then he just stopped in front of the police car and started shouting that, I have shot somebody. The police officer took him in, sent him to the police station after they had gone to the crime scene, and the case started building up from there. His mom would later come in, and the words that she asked her son depicted the disappointment that she had in him. She looked at Nathaniel and told him, "If I never taught you anything, didn't I teach you to think?" And I feel and empathize for his mom, because being a single mother, it's difficult when you have to raise a boy. And sometimes it might not be enough, because there are certain things that the father figure who is present would be the one to fill such a void. That's not to make an excuse for Nathaniel. But fast forward, Nathaniel's case was now being considered for trial. It was unclear if they were to try Nathaniel as a teenager or as an adult, given that he was just about 13 years old. Now, people were wondering, how does a 13-year-old do such a thing? And if you look at him, you would feel that he looked just like a child. But unfortunately for Nathaniel, by the time the case was ready to go to court, he had actually grown in size and stature and he had bulked up a bit. Fortunately, in a way for him, he had a lawyer who decided that he was going to defend this man and actually get a form of lighter sentence for him, because everybody was wondering, how does a 13-year-old do such a thing? And his lawyer said, it's obvious, because he is 13. And that is what nobody seems to accept, according to the lawyer. And it makes sense, like I said. At that stage, as a kid, he might not have the wisdom that the adults have, based on which they ask that question: how does a 13-year-old do this? Fast forward, Nathaniel was sentenced to 28 years in prison. His mom died along the line, and his father stopped contacting him all in all and keeping in touch with him. It's unfortunate that the young life of a young man who had promising future had been cut short like this. Later on in an interview, Nathaniel would actually indicate that Mr. Grono was one of his favorite teachers and that he encouraged him so much when most people were doubting him and putting him down. That is what can happen when anger is unguarded and when the young people in the society do not get the support they need. This is not to cast blame on anybody. Nathaniel is set to come out in less than a decade from now, and we hope that he will be able to find his path in life. Our condolences goes out to the family of Mr. Grono, his kids, his wife, and his external family, and also to the traumatized family of Nathaniel. We pray that they all find the strength to move on in life. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't done so. We appreciate your support. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Put us on post notification so that when we put content out, you get to know firsthand. And leave your comments in the comment section. What do you think accounted for this? Catch you later.